Morning, everybody. It is 6 o'clock on a Saturday morning, and I am waiting right now for the hunters to meet me here, and we're going to continue on our trek down to the spot where they go hunting and where I will take them in their packs and everything for a week and their canoes into the woods for their hunting trip. So we'll see you down there at some point.
We're ready whenever you are.
You guys all ready? Yep. Cuffs up. Careful. So as we're coming down this hill, the rocks are bad, and the carts tip over, and so they got to repack the whole thing. These things happen. Well, here we are pulling into our turnaround spot, where the lake is, where the pond is, that the boys will canoe to their camp from. Oh. So we get the horses resting here for our trip home, and I'm just gonna show you guys the guys as they head across the pond with their boats. They're just taking all the luggage down now. If you guys see that big white thing, that's their tent that they set up when they get out in the woods. So I asked them, and they said they still have about an hour of time to get to their camp. They have to go up this pond here a ways, and they have to cross over on some land, so they have to go unload everything and carry everything, cross over to the next pond, and they take that next pond and go a ways, then they head up on top of the mountain.
Who's got the boat anchor? No bag on the sleeping bag? Ooh, that's brave. See you Friday, Jim.
Yeah, have a good time, guys. Yeah. So they're off. One of the guys, Mike, was telling me that this is his 47th year coming up here to hunt. So I'll be back on Friday to pick him up. So let's see if we can't grab a cup of coffee here and then head on home. Cuffs up. So we're off on our way, headed back. So as we head for home, maybe I can talk about a few things, even a few questions that have been asked. But first off, I want to explain a few things about this trip. As I just told you, one of these guys have been coming up here for 47 years. And this happens quite a bit. These people come up here in other groups and spend time in their hunting trips up here in the Adirondacks. This particular spot is a 5 mile, actually it's like 5.3 miles into this pond. And the road that we use is a fire road, so the state maintains the road somewhat, and just in case there's a fire up in here, of course they can get their equipment up here to fight the fire. And so that's what we use to get back and forth. There's numerous ponds up and about here in the Adirondacks that people get to use, but this particular spot in the Adirondacks is not to be used with motor vehicles. So the only way you get in here, and the only way you can access it is to walk or use a horse. And so I was hired by these guys to come in here and tow their little dollies with their canoes on and all their gear into the woods so they could camp for the week. I've been doing this for about 5 years now, I guess, and it seems like every year it's been pretty decent weather. But this time of year, which is November 9th, in the Adirondacks, there's the potential of very cold weather and even snow. They've told me quite a few stories of years gone by and the different times that they've had and the weather that they've had. Today is a really nice day. When I started out this morning, it was 29 degrees Fahrenheit, and I think it's supposed to get a high of about 35 degrees today. So it's for myself riding on this cart a little bit chilly, but I have a lot of clothes on. But for the guys walking all the way in, it was plenty warm for them. And they have to stabilize the canoes. And as you saw earlier, the one canoe coming down that steep hill, the stones were really bad, and they couldn't. They're a little short-handed, so they've only got 5 guys this time. And so with 3 canoes, that means one person has to handle one canoe by themselves. And that's what happened. That one guy hit a rock bad and flipped the cart or the canoe right over, and so we had to stop and clean up everything up and put it all back together. But we had one other issue on the trail too, and when we get to that point, I'll stop and show you what happened there and explain a few things. So I guess I haven't even told you yet. This is the 2 horses I have are Earl is on my left and Baron is on my right. Last year, Baron and Bill came in here and did the job. And Baron was very nervous last year. And I figured for sure this year, being his second year, he would be just fine. And, you know, he's gone to horse pulls this year, to the fairs and whatnot, and never really been an issue. Well, he was, this morning when I got here, when they started loading up the canoes and all the ruckus and everything going on, I was surprised how nervous he was. And Earl was very good, actually calmer than Baron, but still I could tell he was a little nervous also. Baron also has had quite a bounce to his step, as you can see even right there now coming home. He still has a bounce to his step. I didn't really expect them to sweat any this morning, but they did. They both, it's more from nerves than the hard work, but you know, they'll get better as years go on. So I can't remember if I told you or not, but it took us just exactly 2 hours to come in this morning, and that's about normal. When I go out, other years I've had Bill with me, and I've you know, they've wanted to run, and so we actually trotted a lot of the way out, so it doesn't take so long getting out empty. But with these two, I don't know if I'll trot them much or any. We'll just see how it goes. I'm always impressed with the trees that are up in here. Some of these trees are just huge. This area of the Adirondacks is also a forever wild, what they call forever wild, and so no timber has been cut off this land since I don't know when. But there's so much yellow birch in here, and yellow birch is a slow growing tree, and they're huge yellow birch in here, along with maples and pine and hemlock, and even some huge cedar trees. Now, myself being a logger, I'm not exactly in agreement with having these woodlots being forever wild and never able to cut the trees. I believe that, you know, your forest should be kind of like your gardens, and you should sort of be taken care of like a garden and not just left to be wild, and then these trees just die and fall down. But I don't have a say in that, so I just have to accept it and live with it, that we can't do anything about it. It's still a little bit chilly out, even right now. It's probably about 32, 33 degrees, but the sun is shining. It's a beautiful day, but when you're in amongst the trees, you're not feeling a lot of heat from the sun because you're kind of in the shade most of the time. I've actually done quite a few videos now of this trip into the woods that I've done, and usually Brenda comes with me. There's a few times she hasn't, but most of the time she's come with me. But she's been fighting a leg injury that is just kind of a real pain for her. It's I don't. There's a name for it, but I don't know what it is. But anyways, it's just been lasting for a long time now, and gets a few days, it's better, and then it gets bad again. So I'd appreciate even if you could keep her in your prayers, as that she might get this healed up fast, so she can get back to doing what she really enjoys doing. One year I remember when she was filming me up here, she would run way ahead of us and get some good views. There's spots here where there's some pretty good ledges, so she was able to climb up onto those ledges and catch us as we went by. But being alone, I'm kind of limited as to what and how I can film, so we'll just have to talk and just enjoy the ride from from the driver's seat. All the way in on this 5-mile trek. It's up a hill, down a hill, up a hill, down a hill. And all the way through here, there's big old trees that have fallen down. Maybe even here we could put a tag on to show which videos are from years ago, different years of coming into the woods here to take the hunters in. So for those of you who are curious, like I said, it's a 5-mile trek in, and if you're interested as to whether or not I ever see anybody or any animals in this trip that I take every year. As far as animals, no, I've never seen anything, no deer, no bear, no nothing. But for people, I have seen some people. There's one guy that's been hunting here for years and years. He comes up here all by himself and camps out, I think, for a week. And we've met him walking out of the trail one time. We met a group of 4 or 5 people just going for a hike up here one time. They weren't hunting, they were just hiking. This morning, when we got to our turnaround spot with the truck and trailer, there was a truck parked right where I turn around, which would have, I'm not sure what it would have done, but fortunately he was actually sleeping in his truck, and he got up and moved his truck so I could get turned around easier. He said he'd been hunting and he'd been sleeping in his truck, and he did that for 2 or 3 days, and so, but he was done. He's sick of sleeping in his truck, so he was going to head home. So he was able to move his truck for us so we could get my truck and trailer turned around. But then before we had left, 2 other vehicles pulled in, and they were hunting for the day, and they actually knew some of the guys because they've worked with them before, and they actually said they've seen my videos and saw the video from before of me bringing the hunters into the woods. So that was kind of interesting to meet them. So we had one other troubles this morning, as I told you about. We were coming in and coming down around this corner, and I can see from a distance there was a huge tree in the trail. And I said, oh my goodness, we're in trouble now. I have always brought my chainsaw with me when I've come to do this job. Oh, it's you're not supposed to use the chainsaw up in these woods at all. But this being a fire road, and because I've got horses here also, I have always said there's no way I'm going to go in there without having a chainsaw with me just in case. And it was very fortunate of us to have the chainsaw this morning because this big old tree here had uprooted and fallen over, and it was right here across the road. So we had to take my chainsaw and cut these big chunks off and roll them out of the road so that we could pass. And if I didn't have a chainsaw, I don't know what we would have done, but I did, and I was able to take care of it. How you doing, boys? We got Earl and Baron here. As you see, I left the halters on them both. Even on Baron, I left a halter on because I knew they had to be tied quite a bit down by the pond, and so I wanted a good, secure way to tie them. Careful step. I'm very pleased with how well Earl is doing. This being his first real trip away from the farm, at least of any distance. He's been going up to logging close by there, close to the farm. But this is, you know, an hour, I don't know, about an hour and 15 minutes to drive with the truck and trail up here. And so it was also the first time I had to put blankets on him. I put a blanket on Earl for his first time, and he was no problem. So anyways, he's doing great. I was telling the guys this morning, especially after the one wreck that we had when the canoe tipped over, that maybe we should consider even thinking up some better ideas to get these canoes and this gear in the woods. And maybe you guys have some ideas even. I told them that maybe if we could just get a running gear, just, you know, a wagon without the body on it, just the running gear, and we could maybe make some racks on that so that the canoes could slide into place and we could load them up, still put all the gear in the canoes and strap it all down to the wagon, and then I could tow the wagon into the woods. It would probably be more stable and less apt to tip over than the way we do it now. Oh, catch that. So Brenda wrote up a list of different questions that we've have had on our comments lately. So maybe I'll attempt to answer a few of them as we're traveling down the road. A lot of them are just quick answers to these questions, so it should go fairly fast. So several people have asked about what's the story with Pansy. Pansy is the Jersey cow that we bought that Brenda was milking quite a bit, and then we dried her off. Well, one of the reasons why we bought her is because the farmer could not get her bred. So we figured maybe we could get her bred with the beef cow we had, and she was really slowing down on her milk, so we decided just to dry her off and try and get her bred. And we have not yet got her preg checked, although we're going to do it right off. And so if she's not pregnant, we will sell her. But if she's pregnant, we'll be keeping her, and she'll be having a calf, you know, when the time comes. Somebody had asked if we'd be consider buying another Percheron horse. Of course, they're asking that because Buck, our other Percheron horse that died a few years ago, is not with us anymore. So poor Ken is kind of all by himself, and he does get worked some, but they apparently really like the black horses, and I do too. In some ways, I'd love to get another black Percheron to go with Ken, but right now, with the amount of animals that we have, I'd have to get a really, really good deal to even consider something like that. Even though the idea of it does appeal to me, it's probably not going to happen. Another question that came up several times is if you missed the video that I had when Bill was pulling all that pine out from the cabin on the lake that we did a few weeks ago. People asked, well, why don't you just take it down and put it in the pond and float it across to wherever you want to take it to, or just to get rid of it, or even be able to use it for saw logs after we float it across the pond. Well, I'm not positive about this, but I do think it's illegal to attempt to do something like that, at least in New York State. So it's not really an option that we had to put those logs into the pond and move them that way. So I have two different questions that people have asked, and they're kind of, or I can kind of answer them together. One is, do you use firewood for your own use? Actually, three different questions. Do I ever sell firewood? And the answer to that is yes, I do sell firewood sometimes, not very often. But also, do you use firewood for your own use? And another question that has been asked quite a bit, that people seem to have missed the video that I've talked about it before on, is where is William? William is the Amish guy that used to work for me. So, William does not work for us anymore. He's got another job. He might come back and do a little bit of part-time work for us, but still he's not here on a regular basis. Just recently, he was over and bought some hay from me, so I'm still selling him hay, so I still have, that connection with him there. But as far as the firewood goes, on a video, even last video I believe, I was getting firewood in with Ken and Lady, and I got to thinking, I think last year William brought all our wood in for the year because he was able to. And so this year I've got to do it myself. Brenda and I will have to do it ourselves. Oh. So another question that came in is someone asked if I cut with my 562, which I must have shown in a video, and I do, but I do cut more so with the 572, which is right here on my cart, which is the one I used to cut that big yellow birch down. I cussed out. I had talked about in another video also that I had both of those saws sent to the shop because they weren't working, and they're both back, and the 572 needed a new coil, and that solved that problem with that one, and the 562, it just needed a bit of a tune-up. So I still question that 562's ability to last very long, but we'll see how it goes. I was a little bit concerned with Baron's shoes. We got the shoeing done a while ago, but he's due for another shoeing, and so I was concerned, being such a long, trip in here, to have the possibility of losing a shoe. But it was tight this morning when I left, and I think he'll be fine. I do have an appointment even Tuesday to get his shoes reset, so that should work out fine for us. My camera work probably isn't the best today. I'm having a difficult time driving the horses, holding the camera, and looking at my paper to find the next question. So you'll have to bear with me. We all wished Brenda was here, of course, but it just did not work out that way this year. So the next question is, are you considering taking others to compete in the horse polls this next summer? And the answer to that is yes. I don't know what combination or how exactly I'll do it, but I should have 4 horses that would be potentially able to go to horse polls. Whether I take all 4 of them or take 2 one time and 2 another time, I don't know. I would love to be able to take Duke and Bill and Earl and Baron, all 4 of them to a horse poll and pull in several classes. But we'll just have to wait and see. It takes a lot of work, both at home and at the horse poll, to do all that. So maybe, who knows, maybe I can get William to come with me to a horse poll or 2 and help out. He did that last year, I guess it was. And we'll see what happens there. Wow. So we had another person that asked a question about the way I'm driving with my lines, and actually I've had this question asked one other time too, and people were wondering, why do I keep throwing my lines up onto their backs? In other words, as you can see right here, my lines are down at their sides, and if I can hold I gotta change my hands around with the camera, but a lot of times they're like that, and then I will toss my line up here. One person says, couldn't you put some rings in there to kind of help hold your lines up there if you want your lines up there all the time? Well, what I'm doing actually with my lines is kind of a fine tuning in the driving process. I don't know if I can explain that, but I'll try. So when I'm driving along and let's put my lines down here lower. They're both down there like that. The more you pull, the more they tend to come up anyways. But a lot of times they will drop into there in between the 2 horses. And that's okay. But I try to use that some to my advantage. Now, for example, if Baron is walking faster than Earl, if I take my left line and kind of toss it up over here, it actually puts more pressure on Baron's bit, and he'll actually slow down a little bit. And when I do that, and then Earl gets a little bit ahead of him, if I swing it over here so it's kind of down further, it'll put more pressure on Earl's bit, and he'll actually slow down too. So me throwing the lines around is more of a fine-tuning in my driving process, and so that's what I do. I'm not sure if I explained that very well, but that is what I do to keep my 2 horses walking together better. Another thing I can do, and I've explained this before, when I have horses that maybe one walks faster than the other, sometimes a team, these 2 especially, they tend to go back and forth. One will walk faster and then the other one walks faster. So a lot of times I will flick my lines around to adjust that. But another thing I do is, being this is a bench seat that I'm sitting on, I can slide back and forth, and that puts more pressure on the horses in such a way to keep them walking together. Oh, I wanted to show you guys, I think it's right here. Of course, this is a fire road, so they have to maintain it. So there is quite a few culverts across this road. And here's a big culvert there, all stoned up nicely on this side. But on the other side, I think it is, that I was noticing as I drove in this morning, that it's stoned up even nicer. They just did a nice job of stoning that up. I don't know if you can see it or not. Hey guys, hey. 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 I kept us out. So I don't know how many culverts they do have across this road. Maybe some year when I'm bored on my way out, I'll count them. Oh. So here we are at the spot where we flipped the canoe over right here. It hit those rocks, flipped over. For some reason, it seems like this trail is a lot rockier than it was other years. This one spot. I don't know if there's some eroding here or not. I hear some people coming. Cast up. Careful. Oh.
See anything?
Did I see anything?
Any deer?
No, I wasn't hunting.
Oh, you
You're on camera. Do you mind being on camera? I got a YouTube channel, so I actually have this on YouTube.
Oh.
Would you rather I didn't?
No.
Doesn't matter to you. Okay. No, I am just taking. I took 5 hunters way up in the woods,
Okay.
way up to the pond,
Yep.
and then they're going from there with their canoes. So we had 3 canoes all loaded with gear, and they headed up through. So you're just out hiking, I take it?
Yeah, we'll hike back to the fish pond.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we have lunch and go home.
Oh, good. Good for you.
Yeah.
Well, enjoy yourself.
Thank you.
I'm gonna head on.
Okay. What
Guess
beautiful guys you have here.
Yeah, thanks. Careful. Careful. Oh, if you wanted to see yourself on camera, it's Working Horses with Jim on YouTube.
What's it called?
Working Horses with Jim.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Guess that.
Thank you.
Yeah, see ya. Have a good day. Well, that was interesting. Even though I don't like the idea of not cutting the Adirondacks in these forever wild places, it really does make a beautiful place for people to come up and enjoy themselves by taking a nice long walk. Unfortunately, it seems like they don't get as much use maybe as they should or could have, but so many people just don't like to do a lot of walking these days either. So as we climb up this hill with those big old ledges to our side, I had to dig my camera out of my coat and hold it so I can show the scenery better of these ledges up through here. Anyways, as we come up to the top of this hill, there is a name for this hill. It is called Heart Attack Hill. Now, I'm not sure exactly when they named it Heart Attack Hill, but I do know, or sort of think, that the reason they named it that is because approximately 25 or 30 years ago, a guy with horses, just like myself, was transporting hunters into the woods, and on his way home, back to his truck and trailer, something happened. He either had a heart attack and died, and then his horses ran away, or his horses ran away and then he had a heart attack and died. No one really knows, but it was a terrible accident, of course, and it happened apparently somewhere on this hill. So I believe that's the reason why they call this Heart Attack Hill. If it wasn't for that, and if it was named that before, the reason would probably be because it's such a hill to climb. A person with a bad heart could have a heart attack climbing it. If you wanted to look it up, there is a newspaper article about the guy that died here. And I actually knew him from back in the early 90s when we first moved here. I met him because he would pull horses with me, and he was a very nice guy. And his name was Jim. I do remember that. I can't remember his last name, but so this little plateau right here, or flat spot, is where we always stop when I'm taking the hunters up, so they can take a break, because this hill is a up a hill, down a hill type of thing. It's climbing over this mountain, and so both going in and out, we stop here to take a break. So now we'll head back down the mountain. Oh, well, we made it back to the truck. Pooh. Cuffs up. G. G. Cuffs up. Cuffs up.
Good. Come here.
Okay guys, this job is done for the day. We'll be back next week to pick up the hunters. Earl is in the front with a hay bag. And Baron has a hay bag back here. So we're good to head for home. Hope you enjoyed this video. You guys have a great day.